Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video. So y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all. Today, we got a pretty interesting video. I came across, actually, an interview on satanic rituals within the widely known gang MS-13 Mata Salva Trutra, right? I remember seeing another clip long ago, years ago, of another gang member, former gang member, and he was talking about rituals that he did in his gang. It's a California-based gang. I think their name is Devil Lanes or Denver Lane Bloods, right? I was like, man, this would be a very good topic. I've never done a video on gangs and rituals and satanic sacrifices and gangs worshiping the devil. It's like, all right, the consensus is like, yeah, gangs are evil because you either end up in jail, you end up dead. A lot of these guys have killed people, robbed people, steal, destroy, old motto of the devil himself. The devil uses these gangs. Like, of course, yeah, that's the truth. It's a little deeper as well, like as in a lot of these guys, they really embody it, especially these MS-13 members that are really deep into satanic sacrifice and worshiping the beast. Even a lot of black gangs as well. So I was like, hey, man, this is like right up our alley, some new content. And I thought y'all would enjoy this video just as much as I have enjoyed researching it. Though, at one point in my life, I was super infatuated with all this stuff as well, just like any other young teen. So I went down the lane of MS-13, all those Mexican gangs and Mexican mafia in prison, how MS-13 adapted 13 behind their name by aligning with the Mexican mafia, which was the 13th letter of the alphabet, the letter M. There's so much, even all the California gangs, Crips, Bloods, so on and so on, right? Very deep rabbit hole, just if you're, generally going down the topic. But obviously, if this type of stuff made it to my channel, then there's definitely a very deep root in satanic involvement, right? So, we'll use this video to go down that rabbit hole, y'all. So without me doing too much talking in this intro, we'll go ahead and jump into one of the first clips that I found. And y'all gonna find this to be pretty interesting, right? Check this out.
Right now we in the projects, King Manors. This is home to the Pasadena Devil Lanes, but the known clique right here is the Project Gangsta Bloods. I want to say I started gangbanging back in middle school, you feel me? I started hanging with the homies, getting influenced by the crowd around me, kind of got sucked into the matrix and became who I am, you feel what I'm saying? But it didn't lessen me as a man. I think it make you stronger in a sense, because the discipline that come from it is what give you your character, you know what I'm saying? Every day you got to deal with the choices. It's a regret. It's like a pile of regrets that stay on the gangster head. And if you're a gangbanger without regrets, you probably never even did shit, you know what I'm saying? Niggas be lying, then they go home and live these fake lies on the internet where everybody think it's all positive and shit, but I know the real, man, and I know how deep the gangbanging shit go, because I done did it forever, for my whole life, I ain't new to this shit. Niggas know me. I'm well known out here. The big homie Bogart, you know what I'm saying? Salute, that's another G homie, that's 100. Big homie Bogart was doing an interview back in the days with Raymond and Howard with the news people. And they was, questioning him about the lanes and all that. And the nigga wind up making like a accidental typo, saying some Devil Lane type shit, like not knowing it was Denver the whole time. So once it started spreading, the news and the propaganda behind it associated with it, the homies, I adapted the identity. Thought it was kind of so business. The Devil Lanes is hard. Yeah, we feeling that whole title. We feeling that swag. But then you had the homies in the biddy that was like, it's Denver, my nigga. What's the Devil Lane shit? You know what I'm saying? You can't be mad at them because, in a sense, they might feel like that's separation. So, but you still got homies that's Devil Lanes, you got homies that's Devil Lanes, but niggas need to understand it. Listen to me now. It's all the same, period. You disrespect a devil, you disrespect a Denver. You disrespect a mafia, you disrespect it's all the same shit. So niggas shouldn't have to say that more than once, you feel what I'm saying? It's not rocket science. if you ain't strong mentally, they can easily influence you, you know what I'm saying? And that's why the little homies be getting fucked in their head, because the big homies grab them up and plant that seed of mistrust and disloyalty, you know what I'm saying? Fuck their whole structure off. So yeah, when I was a young nigga, I don't want to put the homie name out there. He resting in peace anyway now. But he kind of introduced me to some shit that was a little dark side. You know, it's a little evil. We was on some satanic worship shit. And I was actually doing that for, man, about maybe 7-8 years. I was heavy into the satanic worship. My mom and my family thought I was crazy and shit, you know. I'm talking to the preachers left and right, asking is heaven open for niggas like me? And they can't even give me an answer, you know what I'm saying? And if you ask me how I got in this shit, man, I can honestly say I just I wanted power at a young age. I wanted to be balling like the rest of the niggas. I don't want to be out here on no struggle nigga shit. So if a nigga tell me the easiest way to fame is to commit myself to Satan, at that point in my life, that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? That's what I did, and I don't have no regrets on doing that, because it made me who I am. Man, I seen a lot of shit. When you worship the devil, you don't see shit the normal niggas see. And I always tell the homies that niggas be playing this shit, saying, oh, there ain't no God, there ain't no devil. Okay, that's bull. You want to know? I'm telling any nigga right now, if you want to know on Bloods, on Lanes, if God or the devil is real, worship the devil. And you gonna find out how real this shit is, my nigga. Man, you probably look at me like an animal if I was to tell you the kind of shit that we was doing just to gain recognition from Satan. And the first thing Satan wants you to do is denounce the Holy Ghost, which is considered the #1 sin in the Bible, the #1 unforgivable sin in the Bible. If any nigga study the Bible knows that, you know, and that's fucked up to hearing that for a nigga like me. I did all of that over and over, numerous times, blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. So I always be thinking sometimes like, low key, if there is a heaven or a hell, I'm already on my way down, you know. Speaking for me and my crowd, like I said, I'm not gonna put no names out there, because that's something I don't know if everybody want to disclose the fact that they done played with the devil. A nigga rather tell you he didn't fuck the nigga in his butt or snitched on paperwork before you. I'm just telling you, niggas. And when I told the homies I was doing my interview, my little crowd that I got down with the dark side with, niggas like, don't put my name out there. That was back then, and I'm gonna respect that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna respect that, because I don't give a fuck though. I'm gonna speak the truth. I'm gonna tell the truth. But when you caught up in that satanic shit, it's like every day you want to purposely do something to hurt a motherfucker or kill a motherfucker, or every day your main focus is to go shoot or hurt somebody, because you want to absorb the motherfucking energy from your enemies. You know what I'm saying? Period. It's like my nigga Sinister used to tell me for Swans, rest in peace. You want to absorb the energy from your enemies. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we was on. We was on the real dark side, the left. They call it the left hand. You know what I'm saying? In the satanic circles, it's called the left hand. You got the right hand, which is the godly walk, which was half of society, professed to walk, and then you got the left hand path where niggas like me was caught up in. You know what I'm saying? But I would never go back on that shit, man. And if they do say Jesus forgive everything, then I hope you forgive a nigga now, you know. I was doing a seance in my room one night, doing a blood sacrifice, and I was invoking the spirit world, saying my chants and all that. And out of nowhere, the whole motherfucking bed in my room literally like yanked off the wall. I'm talking about, it took like 8 niggas to carry this bed in the first place. The shit was one of those big wood, heavy, thick ass beds, man. It scared me so much, man. I jumped out the bed, ran, fell all in my room, was trying to cut I knew it was some demonic shit. The feeling, I done had motherfucking crab niggas draw down on me with pistols. I done had niggas shoot at me dead, brain range, so I know what the feeling feel like when you about to die. I know exactly what it feel like, and that's exactly how I felt in that room. And there was no reason for me to be feeling like that, because we always pray to the 13th candle. We always do the same shit in the satanic rituals. For some reason, when that night while I was doing this ritual, I think God kind of maybe pulled his little aura away from me and let me see just how real Satan is. And it got real. He tried to manifest in my bedroom, period. Nigga, and I wasn't on not one motherfucking drug, nothing. Lanes. I was sitting in the bed sober, nigga. This is real shit coming from me though.
And that was a turning point for you?
Hell yeah. Nah, hell nah. Nah, it wasn't. Prison, that was the turning point. Sitting in the cell for motherfucking 5 years straight.
Now, that was a very interesting take on his experience with Satanism, worshiping the devil, and, living the gang life, basically, right? He said a lot of very interesting things. What he ended it with, well, there's maybe 2 or 3 things I want to point out. We'll start with what he ended with. The guy asked him, did that basically scare you correct when he felt the devil, try and manifest in his room? And he laughed about it. He was like, yeah, that did. Then he was like, nah, it didn't. It really didn't. What really got him straight was 5 years in prison. And that reminds me of things that happen when you get isolated, when you become alone. Like, it's like God has the chance to work on you mentally. A lot of people have to go to jail for that to happen. Obviously they're not completely alone, but when you're stuck in that cell for a certain amount of years, all you have is yourself and your thoughts most of the time. That's what a lot of people will tell you who've done a significant amount of time in jail. A lot of them find God. A lot of them find things that help them attach to something that they never could have gained on the outside because they were so focused on the devil. They were so focused on doing what they want to do. They never had time to sit down and think about God. God never really had time to work on them. So a lot of the time he isolates people. Some people have to go to jail for that to happen. Some people, could just be like us and you just go through things in life where you don't have friends, you don't have this, you're isolated, you're alone, and now you're able to grow and recognize things. So I thought that was something important to take from because it relates to a lot of other situations that people go through in order to learn God or, be able to receive his spirit and correct some of the things that you're doing in your everyday life. Now, another thing he pointed out that has to do with just about anybody who wants to, get into the industry, the film industry, is doing anything to become famous, to not struggle. He said he was willing to worship the devil. He was willing to do it all. He was willing to fully worship the devil in order to get what he want out of life. And I wanted to bring that up because, like I said, that's what a lot of young kids do anyway. Especially when they want to be a rapper, when they want to make fast money. Like, you don't even really have to be famous. You can worship the devil and do certain things in life, without wanting to really be famous or ever get famous. You might get certain things in life quicker than most people because you're willing to do it the fast way. You're willing to do it while working for the devil. And that's like, that fast money, some of that fame, that's like the quickest way that we all know the devil usually gets a lot of people when they're young. Because you don't want to struggle. You don't want to work a job. You don't want to be at work all day making slow money. That's a very fast way, for men, for women, selling your body, men selling drugs, pimping, all kind of shit, all that devilish stuff to easily get fast money is what Satan and his demons use to get people to, join the dark side in a sense. A lot of people may not actively be like doing rituals and stuff like that, but they are still working for the devil. He was just one that was actually bold enough to admit it and go that far to pray to Satan, to worship Satan in order to get what he wanted out of life. And guess what? 90% of the time, you don't even end up getting what you thought you were praying for to the devil. Or if you do get it, it's very temporary. Dangle a little bit in your face and then boom, it's gone. You back to being broke. You back to being what you was, because that's what Satan is. That's what he represents. He'll lie to you to get your soul, get your heart, get your mind, and now you just back the same old way. You just back to who you was before everything even started. But you just, you got even less pieces of your soul. So I thought that was, that was very interesting. He asked, is there a place for people like him in heaven? So, it definitely shows that he understands what he did, and he probably understands what he needs to do in order to be forgiven by God, right? So I thought that clip was very interesting when it comes to, people in gangs who actually have worshiped the devil, and these are just regular people. Now, in this next clip, we're going to go more into MS-13, and I got a pretty interesting clip where Tucker Carlson did a interview with this guy. I'm not sure if he was like former MS or anything like that, but he had a very good take on them being satanic and, doing sacrifice rituals and stuff like that. Then I got a really good article or two that we're going to read more into about satanic sacrifice from a couple of MS-13 members, right? So, yeah, y'all, with that being said, Check this out.
MS-13 is one of the major gangs.
And they are satanic also.
That was my question. So very
I'm
little.
sorry.
No. But I would hope you will explain it, because very little has been written in the West about this.
They're satanic, yes.
But actually, literally, can you explain?
Well, they didn't start as a satanic organization. They MS-13 started in Los Angeles, in the U.S., because Salvadorans weren't allowed to sell drugs by the Mexican gangs. So they created a gang that was called the 18th Street Gang, because they basically wanted to sell drugs in a street that was 18th Street over there. But then division started they started dividing themselves and started infighting. So they created the MS-13. And then MS-13 started outgrowing the other gangs, and they started exporting the organization to other parts of the U.S. And when Bill Clinton decided to deport those guys, he didn't tell our government at the time, I'm deporting this criminal. They just send them here. And they came, there were few, but unchecked. At the same time, some laws were passed to protect minors from imprisonment. And of course, the gangs used that to recruit 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. So at the beginning it was, some youth causing harm, assaulting, trying to control their territory, selling drugs, things that are bad, but probably not critical. But they grew, and they started controlling territories. A few years later, they were actually a huge international criminal organization that they have bases in Italy, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, the U.S. Basically, a lot of major cities in the U.S. will have strongholds of.
Right outside Washington, D.C.
Yes, of course. And you have in Long Island and
yes.
In L.A. It's a huge criminal international organization. So they grew and they started, killing more people just to get territory or to fight against rival gangs or to, collect debts or, money or whatever. But as the organization grew, they became satanic. They started doing satanic rituals. I don't know exactly when that started, but it was well documented.
Yes.
And in our arrest, we've even found authors and things like that.
Yes, I've seen them.
And so they became a satanic organization. And even when you, sometimes when you interview gang members that are in prison, they would say, I'm out of the gang. Of course, they're in prison, but they would say, I'm not a member of the gang anymore. And when they asked them why, I remember I remember the news outlet that made it this, but it's a very well-known news outlet that made this interview with a gang member in person. We allowed them to go into prisons and do the interviews. And the guy that they asked him, how many people have you killed? And he said, I don't remember. He didn't remember how many, probably 10, 20, he didn't remember. And then they asked him, and what is your position in the gang? He explained how he went up in positions, but I left the gang. I said, why did you left the gang? And he said, well, because I was used to kill people, but I killed for territory. I killed to collect money. I killed for extortion. But I came to to this house, and they were about to kill a baby. And the killer that had killed tens of people, said, oh, wait, what are we doing? Why are we going to kill that baby? And they told him, because the beast asked for a baby. So we have to give him a baby. So he said that he couldn't resist that. So he left the gang. He's in prison because, he's a killer. But he left the gang because he couldn't tolerate what he was seeing.
So human sacrifice was a part.
Well, in the United States a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, I don't remember exactly, I saw the news that they were going to kill a young girl, or they killed a young girl, I don't exactly remember, because it was a satanic ritual. It happened in the U.S. a couple of weeks ago.
All right, y'all. I found this pretty interesting article from the Washington Post So this comes from 2017, kind of goes into the history of MS-13 a little bit and a lot of their satanic history as well. So this article was titled, "You Feel That the Devil is Helping You, MS-13's Satanic History." So it says the victim had been stabbed and found in the woods over 100 times. He was decapitated, dismembered, and his heart had been excised from his chest and thrown into the grave. The grisly details drew widespread attention. Quote, "Satanic murder," declared a headline in The Sun. Authorities haven't said why the unidentified victim was mutilated, but the British tabloid could, perhaps, be forgiven for jumping to conclusions. According to police, the killing was the work of La Mara Salvatrucha, a violent street gang known as MS-13 with a long history of Satanism. Some of the gang's founders were devil-worshipping metalheads, according to experts. And although the connection had waned over the past 30 years, it can still be seen in MS-13's use of satanic nicknames, tattoos, and other imagery. The gang's devil horns hand sign is known as La Garra, a Spanish reference to Satan's claws. And some MS-13 members have told investigators that they committed their crimes at the behest of La Bestia, or the Beast. The Beast wanted a soul, a MS-13 member nicknamed Diabolical said after killing a 15-year-old girl who disrespected his satanic shrine. Now, check this out before I finish the last bit of that other article. This was another story I found about satanic sacrifice from MS-13 members, right? It says they murdered a 15-year-old girl in a satanic sacrifice. It was a crime that sent shockwaves through Houston in 2017. A 15-year-old girl murdered by gang members in a satanic sacrifice. On Wednesday, one of those killers was sentenced to 40 years in prison for the shooting death of Genesis Alvarado. So it took them about 4 years to prosecute one of the killers. So the other guy, 26-year-old Miguel Flores, he also pled guilty to murder in February in 2021 and was sentenced to 40 years in prison, just like his friend. Prosecutors plan to show in court that the teen was with the gang and was chosen as a sacrifice and shot to death. Her body was dumped in the Sharpstown area. During their investigation, 14-year-old girl told police the same suspects held her against her will and forced her to have sex repeatedly over a 2-week period. She said Flores and Rivera were also holding Genesis against her will, and they killed her because she bashed the gang's shrine to a satanic saint. This was what they were talking about in the article that we were just reading. The gang leader decided she needed to die as a sacrifice to the saint. He returned from the statue and told the entire group, including the gang member, that the beast did not want a material offering, but he wanted a soul. Y'all, this is literally what we were talking about in the other article. It's crazy I found the actual article about this killing. The 14-year-old said she woke up one morning and the victim, who called herself Genesis, was gone. So these two guys literally sacrificed the girl because she destroyed one of their shrines to a satanic saint. And they decided to offer up the girl as a sacrifice to the beast. Said the beast wanted her soul. These guys were really on this type of time. So you have to think about it. This was deeper than them just banging, just gang banging, killing other people for territory and money. They were actually sacrificing people to the devil. Marta Salvatrucha's satanic influences are as old as the gang itself. Long before it became known as MS-13, the gang was called the Marta Salvatrucha Stoners, as the name suggests. It was founded by marijuana-smoking heavy metal fans in Los Angeles in the 1970s. Originally, the gang was little more than a club for teenage Salvadorians to get high and listen to music. It bore little resemblance to other Latino gangs. Instead of baggy clothes, its members wore black leather jackets and tight frayed jeans. But it was also different than other stoner groups in one important aspect. So it says a few of its early members were hardcore Satanists who worshiped the devil and went so far as to practice gruesome animal sacrifices. These Satanists gave MSS its badass reputation for evil. Although the vast majority of these stoners never participated in these bloody ritual animal sacrifices or gave any thought to becoming Satanists, they banked on their gang's reputation for devil worship, which gave it and them an aura of mystery and terror. One Mari Salvatrucha member told Ward of his initiation into the gang. "We went to a cemetery and swore an oath by drinking each other's blood," he said. "We took a knife and we cut our hands, and then we drained our blood into a cup to drink it. We smoked a lot of mota, which is marijuana, and then we cut open a cat." In the 1980s, a wave of Salvadorians fleeing the country's civil war, including some who had fought in the conflict, bolstered the gang, but also began to change it. MS morphed into a more traditional street gang that offered Salvadorians protection from Black and Latino gangs. Over time, MS outstripped its local rivals in sheer brutality. Its members became hardened by prison, where they adopted what Ward calls the Cholo style of dress, common in other Latino gangs. So you have to think about it. A lot of these guys came from El Salvador, where they had already, participated in civil war. These were already murderers. They'd already killed multiple people, a lot of people who came to the U.S. that were a part and joined MS-13, which just added to them being even more brutal. It was also inside California's penitentiaries that MS earned the 13, now in its name by aligning with the Mexican Mafia, a powerful prison gang known as La M, or the M, the 13th letter of the alphabet. One thing that didn't change, however, was the gang's association with Satanism. And when MSS became MS, it kept its reputation for Satan worship, Ward writes, which gave it an aura of demonic mystery. By the mid-1990s, when LA's soaring gang violence pushed it past DC for the title of America's murder capital, officials had come to recognize M13 as a public safety threat. Starting in President Bill Clinton's second term, the administration sought to tamp down gang violence in the U.S. by deporting thousands of MS-13 members to El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. So with 18th Street being the biggest rival of MS-13, what the two gangs do have in common is the belief that life and death are somehow intermingled. This belief partly explains the bones and devils tattooed on their bodies, as well as their satanic rituals, such as hacking a victim to death and scattering the organs on the ground in a pentagonal shape. As MS-13 violence returned to the United States with a vengeance in the mid-2000s, including a spate of high-profile murders in the Washington region, so did reports of the gang's Satanism. The brutality of the gang's crimes is increasingly horrific. Homicide victims, including many women and teenage girls, often are found so mutilated that the Spanish priest who runs a San Salvador rehabilitation and job training center for former gang members suspect that some gang members practice satanic rituals. And this is them doing exactly what the guy from the Devil Lanes, the Pasadena Devil Lanes, in that first clip we heard was talking about. You want to kill, steal, and destroy so you can absorb these people's energy. And you are praying to the beast, doing these ritual sacrifices to the devil to absorb the people's, energy that you are killing. In a sense, they trying to absorb their souls. Just like the devil comes to collect, that's what these people are doing. And, he hit that on the head. A lot of people are actively, like people who have killed gang members who really about this kind of stuff, actively believe that killing someone or killing a rival member, killing the opposition, they will absorb their energy if they're thinking like that. Not saying all of them do, because, them gangs in Chicago, Philly, and all that are really shooting, all them young dudes that are really killing each other, they not worried about absorbing no energy. They don't know what takes place in the spiritual, world when they actually kill someone. But these people have knowledge of it. MS-13 and people who actually worship Satan, they know what they doing. They know who they praying to. So yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about this video, man. I had to drop this one. I thought this one would be good. A different topic, but still along the same lines of what we talk about on this channel, man. I always try to do my best just to keep it different, to mix it up, and not always stick to the same thing. Don't be afraid to jump down some new topics. So I hope y'all like that video. Y'all definitely let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. If y'all want another part to this video, I know I owe y'all a part 2 to the last video we did about the moon landing, so definitely watch out for that soon. And with that being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. I'm out.